Last Thursday, RFK Jr. was called before the Senate Finance Committee, mostly because of the chaos happening at the CDC currently. This didn't just happen though, the CDC has been in turmoil since January. Last November, Dave Weldon was initially nominated to lead the CDC. This nomination was already controversial. Dave was basically advocating for anti-abortion clinics through his Weldon Amendment. He also had a history of criticizing federal health agencies. By far his biggest issue was his anti-vaccine rhetoric, where he was falsely claiming that vaccines cause autism. This eventually led to the Trump administration withdrawing Dave's name hours before his Senate hearing. The next person nominated was Susan Monterez, who is objectively more qualified than Dave was. She had experience in leading positions in the NHS and DHS. She also had accreditation from Stanford and the University of Wisconsin, and she also has over 20 years of experience in her field. She's also been the acting director of the CDC since January, and she's been working at the CDC since 2021. Monterez had her Senate confirmation hearing in July. She made sure to explicitly say that vaccines save lives. She also showed early signs of disagreeing with RFK Jr. She declined to answer about his vision of the CDC's future. Monterez was officially sworn in on July 31st. In the midst of this, RFK was actually stewing vaccine skepticism. On June 10th, RFK Jr. removed all 17 members of a vaccine advisory committee. Kennedy said it was because the committee had too many conflicts of interest. In reality, the full panel just happened to be Biden nominees. It's just a blatant partisan decision by Kennedy to remove people that just happened to be nominated by a liberal president. Dr. Georges Benjamin called this decision a coup and called it bad for the health of the people. On June 12th, RFK selected 8 people to replace the 17 people he just fired. The AMA is already alarmed by this because these members were chosen without proper vetting. Dorit Reese, a professor who studies vaccine policy, basically said that RFK is putting anti-vaxxers in positions of power, and this would lead to anti-vaccine policy, something he blatantly said he wouldn't do. This brings us to Susan Monterez's chaotic departure from the CDC. Monterez was fired less than a month after officially starting her position at the CDC. Her lawyer said it was basically because she wouldn't blindly follow RFK Jr.'s policies. 4 top CDC officials followed her out of office. One said the ongoing changes are preventing her from actually doing her job. Another said that this blatant appeal to one political party will inevitably kill and harm people. There's also been backlash from the overall health community. One doctor said the CDC has been decapitated, which is a pretty vulgar but understandable metaphor for the situation. On August 29th, Jim O'Neill was named the head of the CDC. This dude has no medical background. He also has ties to Peter Thiel, a donor to Trump. Basically, he doesn't fit this role at all, but because there's a conservative party in office right now, they're just forcing anyone who's conservative into positions of power. And this all leads us to RFK Jr.'s Senate hearing. Much of the conversations were based on his anti-vaccine policies. He's been very critical of the vaccines that Warp Speed produced, and he's also canceled $500 million in contracts to produce the mRNA vaccines. He also said that Trump deserves a Nobel Peace Prize for his response to COVID, which directly contradicts all of the things I just said. I would argue he accidentally did this because he's a belligerent fucking idiot. Even conservatives were bringing up RFK Jr.'s controversial opinions on vaccines, calling them dangerous. Monterez's firing was also brought up. When talking with Senator Elizabeth Warren, he said he asked Monterez if she was a trustworthy person, and she said, quote, "No." That's gotta be the most bullshit thing I've ever heard in my life. There's no way anyone would ever respond to that question with no. I don't really have a true resolution for the situation. Some northeastern states are creating their own regional vaccine recommendations. California, Oregon, and Washington are also doing a similar agreement. While it's good that that's happening, this situation sucks. I guess a positive note is that our representatives are finally pushing back a little bit.